This is the bonsai forest of Dinagat Islands. It's one of the largest in the Philippines with an estimated area of 1,000 hectares. It's one of the many wonders of Dinagat Islands. The province boasts of critical habitats and wildlife sanctuaries and is even home to endangered species. At least 100 bird species and 400 plant species thrive here. The critically endangered Dinagat cloud rat, believed to have been extinct, was discovered there. Dinagat Islands even has its own tarsier. At least 20 threatened species of vertebrates can be found in its jungles. But this paradise is threatened. Without water and conservation, it will not survive. Dinagat Island seeks to boost conservation efforts while mitigating the harmful effects of mining. It's a daunting balancing act. The province has been a mineral reserve since 1939 due to Proclamation 391 by President Manuel Quezon. Since then, large-scale mining operations cut down massive forests and polluted water sources in the province. This threatens the water supply for this delicate ecosystem and its people.
During gani sa tungkuan, sa kamerwa, gini tubig diri, pila ka months. Nga hapit nga mag 1 year. Labi na kung maminahan, na gini tubig. Maglisod na mga tao.
Mao nay rason nga nganong dili mi mo sugot nga minahon ang among bukid. Nya ikaduha pa ang among tubig wa kay suyo po naman pud na sa kuan tungod sa mina.
Ang issue ng kakulangan sa tubig ay hindi lang nakasentro sa isang munisipyo sa Dinagat, but yan ay na-experience na yan sa 7 munisipyo ng Dinagat Islands.
Mining claims have taken over more than half of the province's land area. Dinagat Islands Environment and Natural Resources Office says there are at least 19 approved mineral production sharing agreements and 3 joint operating agreements in the province. If this continues, Dinagatnons know the water may dry up. They stand to lose their paradise. Because of this, the province started tilting the scales towards conservation. Established in 2013, the Dinagat Islands Conservation Program seeks to protect the province's biodiversity and give sustainable livelihoods. It hopes to get congressional legislation to have Dinagat Islands priority watersheds, wetlands, and critical habitats declared as conservation areas. Legislation is needed to exempt them from the province's mining reserve.
The DICP ay isang programa na naglalayon na i-protect o i-conserve ang biodiversity ng Dinagat Islands through the establishment and management of conservation areas, especially watersheds. We were able to identify 10 priority conservation areas. 9 of these are watersheds, at yung isa, ito yung sa Western Dinagat side.
At least 14,461.04 hectares of the potential conservation areas overlap with current mining claims.
Yun ang challenge ng DICP kasi yung mga identified conservation areas natin ay nasa loob ng mga NPSAs. Pero bakit kailangan natin talagang i-secure, i-ensure ang protection ng ating mga watersheds, particularly watersheds? Because precisely dahil sa tubig. Apart from watershed providing water, nagbibigay pa ng ibang mga tinatawag natin na ecosystem services tulad ng flood control, carbon storage, reduction ng soil erosion at sedimentation. Ito yung pinakasiguro masasabi nating importanteng serbisyo na binibigay din ng ating mga watershed sa Dinagat Islands. Ito yung kanyang serbisyo na nagpa-reduce ng vulnerability ng Dinagat Islands sa impacts ng climate change.
Napaka-unique po kasi ng Dinagat compared to other provinces. Kaya sa amin, bilang nasa DNR, ito yung nakikita namin na posibleng magiging effective na intervention para lang mag-i-exist yung isla.
These wonders have inspired local communities and leaders to be less dependent on mining. They see conservation areas as prime spots for ecotourism and research tourism.
Napakayaman ng Dinagat sa usaping kalikasan. Pero kung ang ating mga programa ay nakasentro lang doon sa extraction ng mga mineral resources, sayang din naman.
Conserving our environment is not just because you want an ecotourism program. We want survival of an ecosystem and an islandscape called Dinagat that provides for and make sure that we have food security, food sustainability.
To make the conservation possible, the DICP will need the cooperation of the community.
Dungan sa duyog pod sa pagpalig-on sa advocacy for watershed development and enforcement of laws, ang pagsiguro nga na ay mga lig-on nga mga people's organization nga makigduyog sa pag-decide sa unsay dangatan sa Dinagat. If your people's organizations are part of your decision-making processes as government, I think that's the only key. If we cannot achieve that, we cannot assure a sustainable future for the island.
Witnessing the impact of mining, Dinagat Town Tubahon led a biodiversity conservation program in line with DICP. It seeks to reforest the Sambunotan watershed, a priority conservation area, by buying seeds from those working from home. It is a local protected area of Loreto and Tubahon, but it will need to be excluded from Proclamation 391 to ensure it won't be mined by companies. Conservation is a matter of survival for Dinagat towns that rely on natural resources.
Inaagapan namin sana ay ma-protect namin, no? Ma-protect namin. Kasi kung sa tingin namin, kung hindi natin aayusin ang environment sector o aspect ng Tubahon, maging wala. Lalo na yung mga tao talaga ay doon lang nakadepende. Kung gaano ba talaga ka-healthy ang environment because ang source of livelihood lang dito ay fishing at saka farming. So kung maging wala yan, lalo kami maging mahirap. Dahil 5th class municipality kami.
With the declaration of the conservation areas still in the works, many Dinagatnons already feel the consequences of mining and illegal logging in the area.
Lalo na dito sa amin, mataas ang dry season. May scars when it comes to water. Because nakita namin yung forest na, especially the watershed, yung sambunutan, ay hindi na gano'n sigurong ayos. Kaya hindi na niya kaya ibigay yung pangangailangan ng household when it comes to water distribution.
As the Philippines wrestles with the coronavirus pandemic, Dinagat Islands conservation efforts have slowed down due to quarantine restrictions. It also faces a budget cut of 10% to provide additional funds for COVID-19 response. But the push for conservation continues as DENR Penro finalizes the profiles of at least 9 watersheds for possible filing of the appropriate bill in Congress. The DICP also hopes to set up 3 proposed protected areas under the expanded National Integrated Protected Areas System. It's Dinagat Islands' hope that more conservation areas will be established as it moves to shift the island province from a mining reserve to an environmental haven.
Ang climate ngayon ay hindi na awareness, crisis na talaga siya. So i-address natin.
People will start feeling that maybe it's not anymore valuable for a mining industry to be present and begin exploring other possibilities like ecotourism, like conservation. I pose that always as a challenge to the mining companies. What is the change that you contributed to Dinagat?